Hello, my name is Nate Pyle. My group mates are Tohi Bagoro and Nabil Kadir. Today I'm going to talk about computer crime, computer fraud, cyber terrorism, and the Internet of Things. First, I'm going to talk about what is computer crime, computer fraud, and cyber terrorism. I'm going to talk about what is the Internet of Things, why are people committing cyber attacks on the Internet of Things devices, pros and cons, what computer crime, computer fraud, and cyber terrorism on the Internet of Things look like now, and what they'll look like in the future. So what is computer crime, computer fraud, and cyber terrorism? Well, they're all forms of cyber attacks. In the computer world, an attack is the act of stealing, deleting, having unauthorized access, or altering of an asset. Cyber attack is any type of attack that aims at personal computers, networks, or infrastructures. Usually done by skilled professionals, which are usually called black hackers. They perform public malicious attempts, deliberately perform to breach an individual or an organization. Cyber attacks can range from installing spyware on a personal computer to attempting to destroy an infrastructure of entire nations. That is straight from Wikipedia. I believe we all know what cyber attacks are, so I'm not going to cover much more of that. Next, I'm going to talk about what is the Internet of Things. Internet of Things, also known as IoT, simply put, is the concept of basically connecting any device to the internet or to each other. It's been around since 1999. It was coined by Kevin Ashton. He was working at Procter & Gamble, and he was kind of messing around with RIFD chips. When you think of Internet of Things, think of the idea of a smart home. You can make coffee, run your toaster, start the microwave, start your shower, turn on music, set the thermostat, open your garage, lock your doors, and feed the cat, all before you go to work. Internet of Things is increasing around the world. The Google Home Hub and Alexa are now being integrated into everything in the house. These devices are getting hooked up to the internet. They're exposed to malicious activity. So why are people committing cybercrimes against the Internet of Things devices? These attacks are becoming more frequent and sophisticated. Current hacks are more than likely to create a bot army for DDoS attacks. More elaborate hacks, where the perpetrator jumps from one device to the next, bypassing normal server protocols, becoming even more frequent. These attacks are nicknamed the Rube Goldberg style attacks. The Rube Goldberg style attacks can jump from a smart speaker to a thermostat, the entire network gathering information on its way. Another reason why people are committing cyber crimes is for money. You can use ransomware software and turn your TV off and say, pay me $5, you're not watching TV today. Pros and cons. The pros are use of technology makes cybersecurity more accessible to a wider range of businesses. Organizations have less expensive and more comprehensive security options in the face of today's threats. Accessibility of instant data simplifies decision making and makes life easier to manage. Better efficiency through machine-to-machine interaction, which in turn helps people focus on other jobs. IoT. The main pro is that IoT is very convenient for users. Cons, likely making unintentional errors while using IoT. Hackers can gain access to internal systems by the use of this technology and the security concerns for the consumers. Now I'm going to talk about what computer crimes, computer fraud, and cyber terrorism on the Internet of Things look like now. There are all sorts of horror stories talking about the most extreme versions of these attacks. One story I read was how two hackers got into a Jeep Grand Cherokee. They could control the whole speedometer and even break the car. I read another story about how criminals could get into your refrigerator and hold you for ransom, or else you gotta pay the ransom or else you can't eat today. This gives you a real boogeyman feeling behind Internet of Things attacks. However, most of the standard attacks are going to look much different. Attacks on the Internet of Things is currently in its infancy. The majority of the types of criminal activity is much less severe than previously mentioned. Currently, a huge portion of the attacks are just hacking into cameras. These criminals are just spying on people, and it seems like they're just hacking to see if they can do it, not necessarily for any malicious intent. Other standard attacks are getting into things such as microwaves, cameras, and other smart devices in order to create a bot army. These bot armies are used to commit DDoS attacks. These attacks are very prevalent in the world today. DDoS, where you could gather a bot army from Internet of Things devices and flooded DNS, make it crash. These attacks seem to be more annoying for the consumer, but can be a huge hassle for companies. They can almost bankrupt a company if their servers have been shut down for an extended period of time. So, what does the future of computer crimes, computer fraud, and cyber terrorism on the Internet of Things look like? Well, when 5G rolls around, hopefully around 2025, everything in the world will have much less latency, giving us very powerful connectivity. This means self driving cars, things like pacemakers, insulin pumps, other medical devices giving us accurate readings on our phone, and we're going to be able to control our entire home with just a few swipes. Now, the Internet of Things is currently being used in the business world. When the technology finally catches up to people, that business will rely on it more than ever. We're talking about water consumption efficiency, all sorts of medical uses, from stroke patients to babies in the NICU. Efficiency is the main idea when it comes to the Internet of Things. Innovation is truly endless. We don't really know how far this thing is going to go. But this is where things can get hairy. Someone could get into your ecosystem of devices through the weakest link, say a camera that you didn't set a password on. They could really screw up your life. They could get into that camera and then start messing with your pacemaker. You could actually die. Therefore, they could hold you for ransomware for whatever they decided to charge you. We're thinking about getting into hospital records and controlling self-driving ambulances is just causing mass chaos. We seem to have not learned from our past mistakes about resetting passwords and updating firmware and software. But it will really help the data security industry. Since the attacks will become easy, predictable, and numerous, that means there's a huge hole the data security industry can fill. When you think about making these devices secure, you realize there's a fortune to be had. I really think that one big attack with the Internet of Things is going to be all it takes for companies to realize these smart devices aren't even slightly secure. When the big attack happens, don't say it didn't have any warning signs. Thank you, and here are our references.